1 month with the Nintendo Switch Pro. That's what I like to call it, because let's be honest, that's what the Nintendo Switch 2 is at the moment, like off launch, in the launch window. We'll see how it develops, but at the moment, lots of us are using it as a Nintendo Switch Pro, not as its own standalone successor console to one of the most popular, most successful consoles of all time. Let's sit down, let's have a conversation about my current impression of the system now that I've had it. I got it on day one, had some experience with it, and my hopes, dreams, expectations, and my grievances with this system so far. Overall, I'm very positive about it. I'm loving my Switch 2. There are things we have to talk about later. Let's talk about the console first, because this is it. This is the Nintendo Switch 2, and compared to the Nintendo Switch, it is gigantic. Let's take off the Joy-Cons. We'll talk about those later. Let's talk about the system itself. The Nintendo Switch, this tablet, you know what a Switch is, right? It's just bigger. Nintendo Switch 2, yeah. My favorite improvement, let's start with something positive. My favorite improvement is the cartridge slot at the top. You can flip it open, like bend it back, put a game in, and then just slot it down. I always dislike changing cartridges on the Nintendo Switch, because when you wanted to bend over like the flap and then you wanted to use the same hand to put the cartridge in, it was always in the way. Switching games, I try to avoid it on the Switch. I buy all my games physically on cartridge. It was a hassle and a pain in the butt on the Nintendo Switch 1. Greatly improved, very nice to use on the Nintendo Switch 2. Big improvement, loving that one. The screen is nice and big. Let's turn it on so you can see the dimensions. Here we go. It has a pretty big border around it. It is an LCD screen, not an OLED screen. So that makes sense if you're holding the console like this. However, it doesn't make sense when you're attaching the Joy-Cons to actually play the damn thing. One of my favorite things that I own is my iPad mini. Is the iPad mini, what is it, like 7 now, I think? I think iPad mini 7. It's very comparable in size. The Nintendo Switch is 7.9 inches and the iPad mini is, I think, 8.1, I think. The screen is exactly the same width, but the iPad mini is a bit higher. Now, this one has pretty chunky borders around it for today's standards. However, you're holding the tablet like this. You have your fingers on there. Totally makes sense. Doesn't make sense for the Switch 2 when you attach the Joy-Cons on both sides. But I understand it's an LCD. We need the borders around it. All right. Okay, I can accept it. Okay, fine. The screen, there are a few problems, like 120 Hertz display. I don't think I've seen a single 120 Hertz frames per second game on the Switch 2 so far. There were rumors that Mario Kart World will support it. It doesn't. So they made a big deal out of the 120 frames per second gimmick. Like, it's very, very important, very nice. However, it's just not there. I don't think. Is there a 120 frames per second game on the eShop even? I don't know. But on store shelves? I don't know. I can't tell you if it works. I can't tell you if it does anything outside of that welcome to a thing. I think it's just completely absent from any game. Same thing with HDR. Not all games support it. So only, specific games like Mario Kart World and so on. However, apparently, I'm not an expert, but the HDR is pretty bad on the screen and pretty bad for the entire system in total. Like, it's my first HDR system. I think the PlayStation 4 actually supports it. I think I played Final Fantasy VII Remake supported HDR, I think. So I activated it there, probably. But overall, a lot of the selling points for the screen that we got in exchange for the OLED screen, 120 frames per second, HDR, basically pointless and useless on the system. I would have preferred an OLED. I know it's more expensive. many arguments were that, you know, it doesn't work with the 120 frames per second. I don't think many games will use that in the future. It will be one of those gimmicks that the next screen like will be an OLED model with 60 Hertz probably. So pretty disappointed about that screen. Something great about it, something I'm really enjoying, is the stand here. I have to admit, like I own the day one Switch original 2017 model. You know, the one that has the little flappy flap with the SD card that is the stand. So you basically can't stand it up. It's impossible for it to stand up without falling over when you just slightly bump the table or something. This stand, I think it's a metal stand. If not, it's a pretty sturdy plastic. I think it's metal. I think it's a metal stand. Like you can adjust it like this. It's pretty nice, very flexible and very stable. I've used this system in tabletop mode a few times. I'm really loving it. Like putting it next to my work computer so I can play a game in between. Pretty nice for that. So the stand is an improvement. Cartridge slot is an improvement. Screen size is nice. However, HDR and 120 frames per second, non-existent so far. That's about the system and the screen so far. The Joy-Cons are a big improvement. I'm really loving these. They are very nice in the hand. I've been playing fitness boxing, the Fist of the North Star spin-off. That's been my fitness routine recently. And my original Switch Joy-Cons like missed inputs. Also, when you're holding it like this, you know, for boxing, they were pretty small. Now, these don't miss a single input. They're very precise. They're very nice and big in the hands to play fitness boxing with. So if you like that game, like these Joy-Cons are amazing and very nice to use. Very comfortable. A lot better than the original Joy-Cons. Even like using them as a controller, I made it a point, even though I bought the Pro controller down here, I made it a point to just sit on the couch and play with this for a while. And they're fine. Like they didn't lose connection once, unlike my Joy-Cons, one for the Switch, like which I had to go out like a day after launch to get the Pro controller because the Joy-Con just did not work when they were not attached to the system. So very nice, very comfortable. The texture on this one is pretty nice. Big improvement, like the magnets, of course, we'll get into that later. But overall, Joy-Cons, just big improvement compared to the first ones in any way you can imagine. Oh, speaking of fitness boxing, like for that game, of course, you want the straps on there, right? So the ones that nobody uses, but for fitness boxing, it's actually pretty nice. So on the Switch 1, getting the straps on and off constantly, man, is that a hassle. Like these straps just will not get off if, like, it's impossible to remove. Like it's horrible, terrible. Like these ones just magnet, plap, done, get them off, perfect. Like fitness boxing has been so much more frictionless since I got these. Amazing, love it, great. So basically big improvement for in any way. I wish they worked with the Switch 1, so I could just clunk them on and use them forever. What is the next point? Oh yeah, Pro Controller, I talked about that. Now this is probably the biggest improvement that Nintendo has made in quite some time. Because this is just better in any way compared to I have not been able to touch this one in quite a while. There are some drawbacks, I'll talk about that. But the original Switch 1 Pro Controller, like this one feels, like the feel on this. I know many people have been discussing this, but it feels fantastic. The buttons are great. And my favorite thing about the analog sticks, I mean, I'm sure you've heard this. This is the original Switch Pro Controller. Like these are the analog sticks. This is the new one. They're silent. Fantastic. I'm pretty sure they did that because of the whole game chat thing. So you don't hear this while playing Smash Brothers all the time. It's just so nice, so comfortable. It's like they're not even attached to the controller. It's like they're floating in midair. It feels amazing. Overall, a great improvement. I've not used the audio jack here for anything, so I can't tell you about that. So the plus and minus buttons always a bit annoying on the original Pro Controller. These one, they are a lot higher, easier to press, very nice. I've not once touched the C button, by the way, on any of my controllers because I don't do online gaming, game chat stuff. So I don't know what the functionality of that actually has, like what it does. Apparently it works very well, but I've not used it at all. Pro Controller, the only drawback, I've heard a lot of people having hand cramps, because even though the difference does not seem quite so big, this one is a lot slimmer and smaller in the hand. Like when you're holding them, you can feel it. Like this one is a big chunker, this one is a lot slimmer, and apparently people are having like hand cramps and other problems with it. I have not experienced that yet. We'll see about the future. But yeah, I think this is super comfortable. Probably my favorite controller, one of my favorite controllers of all time. I already said that about the original one, but this one is an improvement in any way, and especially these back macro buttons here, fantastic. What I do with these is, you know, for RPGs, which is my main game genre, you press A all the time. A, advancing text boxes. Now, I've had some wrist problems in the past where, you know, it hurt a lot. Like during COVID, I played too much Xenogears 2, Xenoblade 2, and yeah, I had to take some breaks. Now, what I do, sometimes it still hurts a little bit when I'm playing too much. Now, what I do, I put the A button here, and I'm sitting here like this, pressing the A button with the left thumb, like just like this, sitting here, to advance the text boxes. It is amazing. It's so cool. Like relaxing my right wrist a little bit, putting it all on the left, or just using this one. It's been a bit of a game changer for some of the games, especially in Xenoblade X that I'd been playing before the Switch 2 came out, where running is pressing the analog stick, and then running, I just put that back here, so much more comfortable, like pressing that so I can run. Amazing. Like, get this. If you have the Switch 2, get this one. I wish it worked with the original Switch as well, which is very annoying. All of the Switch 2 peripherals don't work with the original Switch. The other way around, I can use this on the Switch 2, but this one is not backwards compatible, sadly. What happened to the games? Now, there are a few games on the horizon. What I got, of course, with launch was my Mario Kart World, the physical game. I bought it separately. I don't like digital download games, so Mario Kart World is what I got, and I'm enjoying this one a lot. I was not a big fan of Mario Kart 8. I didn't like the zero gravity stuff. I did not like the underwater stuff and the gliding stuff. Not my thing at all. However, this is more back to the roots, like on the road racing, and I'm really enjoying this one. Played through the cups a lot of times, played online a little bit. 3-starred all the 150cc cups, at least, like the Grand Prix. The KO tour in here, like, I'm not the biggest fan of it. I know people love it. Like, I like the idea. I don't think I've had a lot of fun with it so far. It was more of an, okay, it's there too, but I was a fan of the Grand Prix. Now, a lot of people are complaining, playing like competitively. I don't do that. Like, I play for fun. I want to do some time trial stuff in this one. It's so much fun. I'm playing as the cow, mostly. Like, the cow is the best game, the best character of all time, because cows are amazing, my favorite animals. Mario Kart World, like back to the roots, back to what I liked about the game series with like Double Dash and so on, and away from all the gimmick stuff that I didn't enjoy about Mario Kart 8. Something I didn't like about this one is the open world. Like, all the tracks are connected, you can drive around in the open world, but there are only like little challenge switches and so on. There's nothing to do, no story mode. You can't race against other characters. I thought it would be like a, I don't know, Burnout Paradise kind of thing, where you go to other characters, oh, let's go for a race, then you can unlock my character. Something like this, not happening. Like, the open world is such a waste of opportunity in this one. I hope they patch something in. Yeah, but for me, the racing has been a lot more fun than Mario Kart 8 in the past. I know, controversial take, that has been a favorite game for so many people for so many years. Not for me, sadly. And the other game I got at launch was Rune Factory Guardians of Azuma, the Nintendo Switch 2 edition. Basically an enhanced port of the Nintendo Switch 1 game. And I've been really loving this one. I will do a whole video about this in the near future, once I've finished it and a little mini review of it. Big fan of the Rune Factory series, big fan of the Story of Seasons series, which this one is a spin-off of. And big fan of the publisher Marvelous. Like, they're just taking care of us on the Nintendo Switch 2. I'll get into that later. It's a bit dumbed down, streamlined compared to the mainline series. This is a spin-off. More action-adventure based, less farming and management based. Probably the perfect game for people to get into this series. A series that is very complex in systems and in leveling systems, crafting systems. It's really not beginner friendly. However, this one is probably the perfect start for people who want to get into the series. Apparently, the Nintendo Switch 1 version is very good of this, so you can play that even on the Switch 2 and enjoy a lot of the enhancements that this one has. There was some controversy when Marvelous said that the entire game plus the Nintendo Switch 2 add-on pack here will be on the cartridge, no download required. But when you boot this game up, it wants you to download a 12 gigabyte update. Now I said no thank you. I said start software anywhere, and it actually booted into the Switch 2 edition. So the Switch 2 edition is on here, and apparently it's a bug on the Nintendo side of the system, where when a game comes with the update on the card, it still makes you update. And if there's another app update on top, bug fixes and so on, it makes you download the entire update again, like even though it's on the card. That's a bug on Nintendo system. This is actually on the card. Very good release, fantastic. It's the European release. We did not get a manual with it. Apparently in the USA they got a manual. The card is in my system, by the way. There's an actual game card for this. That's on a Nintendo Switch red card, like 64 gigabytes and so on. Proper physical release, amazing. But apparently the US got a manual with it. I did not here in Europe. Such a bummer. Now, something that I want to talk about, like this is a good example. The Nintendo Switch 1 games were always red spined. Like the spine of it is like, my shelf is just a big sea of red over there. Now, Switch 2, they are now adding colored and illustrated spines. Amazing! Like some variety on the damn shelf. Now, the font for Mario Kart 8 All World is very hard to read on here. So, not a fan of that, but I think they can figure that out. Now we had that, for example, on the PlayStation 4 and so on. And what do publishers do when they have an option for this? And it's, not on every system. Not every system has a spine that you can put a picture on, like the Switch 1, for example, where the spine is white. Rune Factory Guardians of Azuma here, spine is just white. And I think we'll see that a lot with games that come out on the Switch and the Switch 2. They don't want to extend the artwork over the spine. So I think a lot of the Switch 2 spines will just be white, just like PlayStation 4, for example. But hey, I think it's still better than the red spines on the Switch 1. I think they look pretty in the beginning, but it's just all the same over there. Maybe I'll talk about game spines in the near future, because I have things to say about that. Let me know if you're interested in that. Put that in the comments. I ranted enough about the games. These are the only two games I'm interested in. Like, maybe I want to get Cyberpunk at some time, but I didn't want to get it at launch. I have enough games to play. I'm not super interested in it. Like, I thought about getting it just to support the physical release, but I think that's stupid as well. So I got the physical release I actually wanted over here with Rune Factory. Other games I've been playing were Switch 1 games. I tried out a few, and the backwards compatibility actually improves the performance, frame rate, sometimes even resolution of some of the Switch 1 games. So games like, for example, Rune Factory 5, which was a performance disaster on the Nintendo Switch, actually runs pretty fine on the Nintendo Switch too. I put a little short about that online, and people seem to be very happy and content with that now. So I've been playing a lot of Nintendo Switch 1 games on here. For example, I tried out I tried on my old Switch, like the Switch 1 version of this game, and there's not a big difference, actually. This one, very nice resolution, very nice frame rate, but the Switch 1 version of this is actually good compared to Factory 5. I played Fuga Melodies of Steel. Let me just look at the list there. Fuga Melodies of Steel for the Switch 1. That has been my main game outside of these two. And that's not a demanding game. It's mostly 2D, side-scrolling, basic turn-based games and battles. But that worked fine, and I've heard other games work fine too. I played a little bit of Pokemon Scarlet, which got an update, and still doesn't make it pretty, but at least it's solid now. And maybe I'm going back to that one at one point. But overall, if you have games that you want to play on the Nintendo Switch, it may be worth getting a Nintendo Switch 2 to enjoy them and actually have better performance. And sadly, now games that really optimized for the Nintendo Switch are now actually worse than the unoptimized games on the Switch 2, because it can just brute force through a lot of them. You know, games that run at a lower resolution in order to get better frame rates. You know, now we can just brute force it, have better resolutions for the unoptimized games. Maybe I want to, if you're interested, I can do a video about some of the weird games that I have in my collection and how they work on the Switch 2, because a lot of the stuff I've played on the Switch 1 has bad performance problems. And maybe you want to see how, I don't know, Little Dragon's Cafe fares on the Nintendo Switch 2, because that one is an interesting title. I tried on the Switch 2, and you know, it's not really improved for other reasons. It runs better, but there are problems with it that sadly weren't fixed when you brute force the power like this. Let's see. Switch 2 with Switch 1 games are improved, and something I'm already hating is seeing games coming out all on the key cards. I know, okay, people come out, oh, okay, go all digital, so much better. No, I'm buying the physical games, only cartridges, not game cards. So I will be playing and buying a lot of Switch 1 games still. For example, the Raido remake, like Shin Megami Tensei, came out. Switch 2 on your game key card, like all the Sega games are game key cards. Unacceptable, and I think Sega has already said sales are a lot lower than expected. Well, I would have bought some of them, not now. For example, Yakuza 0, I have it on PS4, but there's a director's cut now on the Switch 2. I would have bought that, played it. No, you're not getting my money, Sega. So the Raido port was a game key card, so I'm getting the Switch version of that at one point. Already announced so many games on a game key card. Dragon Quest 1 and 2 remake on a key card. All the stuff like the Suikoden 1 and 2 remakes on a key card. Super annoyed by that. I'm looking at the releases. Only Donkey Kong is coming out, and I'm already feeling the price policy from Nintendo. I'm not getting it. I know it looks amazing. I was a big fan of Mario Odyssey, and it's the same team, similar style of gameplay. I'm not a big fan of the stupid monkey. I don't want to play as a monkey. Like, make it a Wario game. You can't tell me that wasn't supposed to be a Wario game. Like, running through walls, destroying the world, that's collecting coins, that's a Wario thing. I would have liked to play as the fat Wario and not the stupid monkey. That's just a me thing. I don't want to play stupid Donkey Kong. So I would have bought it for 50. Like sometimes you can get new Switch games for like 50 to 60 in that price range. I would have given it a try, because new console, I want to play it. I want to play cool games. I'm sure it's an amazing game. I would have tried it for 50 to 60, not for 80 euros. I'm not buying that. So sadly, Nintendo has already lost a sale for me. Like, I would have bought it, given the money, just to play something on my Switch 2. They're not giving me a chance with that price policy. Next game coming out is Story of Seasons, the Grand Bazaar, or Great Bazaar? Grand Bazaar, I think. The remake of the Nintendo DS game, also by Marvelous, a Switch 2 edition. Physical release, I'm getting that. I'm a big fan of the Story of Seasons games, so I'm always getting those like day one as soon as they come out. And then the next one is also Marvelous game coming out in September, I think, Daemon X Machina 2. I played the first one, wasn't the greatest fan of it, but the new one looks more up my alley with the power suit compared to the Max. So I will give that a try. Also physical release, and you may want to support that because in Japan, Daemon X Machina is only getting a key card release. Now, if we can make them like believe in the physical releases, because I think the physical releases were a decision of the Western branch of Marvelous, like Exceed and Marvelous Europe, here in Europe, of course. I think it was their decision, and I think I want to support that. I like the publisher, I like their games, and I want to support that. So I'm getting Daemon X Machina on launch day as well to show my support there. I'm more interested in that than and supporting a smaller publisher than giving more money to Nintendo for their monkey game. Yeah. That's, I wanted to talk about some of the other improvements. Magnets, I mean, you know all of this. Like, magnets, amazing, fantastic, way better than the rails. More solidly built. My biggest problem is this is too big. Like, this is a big chunker in your bag. This is not a portable system. I'm not taking this out of the house. This is ridiculous. Like, you cannot put this into a backpack and still carry school books or anything else in there. Like, this will take over your backpack. Very annoying. The way I play this portably, which I rarely do, I just play on the TV, OLED screen, hell yeah, is I do the tabletop mode. Like, maybe when I'm on my computer desk for work and I want to play some levels of Fuga, for example, I'll put that like standard on the table next to my screen and just play that with the little Joy-Cons in my hand. This is amazing. The bigger screen makes that a lot nicer. Switch 1, also because of the stupid stand, I never used it in tabletop mode. This is the main portable mode for me, but for holding it in the hand, this is ridiculous. I hate this, and I'm looking forward to the Nintendo Switch 2 Lite, so I can get that, because this I'm not putting into my backpack. I'm not taking it with me. This is stupid. There's still some wiggle here, probably by design. I hate that too. I want to Switch to Lite right now, please. Thank you. Battery life. I've not used the battery. It was in the dock. I played for like 2 hours Fuga, and it's a Switch 1 game, not very demanding. After 1 hour, I think it was like 15% down. So it's a ridiculous time for less demanding games. However, other games, like apparently only like 2 hours for Mario Kart World. I couldn't tell you, I don't use the battery on this one. As I said, it's not a portable system for me. It's probably the most unportable portable system I have. So I'll keep using my Nintendo Switch Lite, especially because there are literally no Nintendo Switch 2 games that I can buy because they're all on stupid keycards. Except for Daemon X Machina. That is the only one. Because these Switch 2 games, Switch 2 editions, put them into the old Switch and activate the old version. Like, you can play this on the original Switch. Like, get this one so you don't have to upgrade later. I also bought the Tears of the Kingdom upgrade pack and booted it up once, haven't touched it since. I don't know if I have the time or energy or mental capacity to put into that stupid ARM gimmick anymore. Tears of the Kingdom. I want to play it again. I want to give it another chance. I wasn't the biggest fan. I didn't like the construction thing. I would rather... I probably should have bought the expansion pass for Breath of the Wild. But maybe I can just play it without this gimmick, like, mostly. Like, the arm is okay. Like, grabbing the Korok guys and carrying them around, that's fine. I don't want to build stupid cars with it. Yeah, I haven't touched it. Anyway, that's my thought on the Nintendo Switch 2. Nintendo Switch Pro, because that's what it is for me at the moment. And I think the only reason it's not a Nintendo Switch Pro is because developers told them that, you know, we need that power. We cannot make a compatible Switch 1 version for all of our games when the power is just too weak for that. This should have come out, I think, like 2 or 3 years ago as a Nintendo Switch Pro, because it improves, it does what a Nintendo Switch Pro should do, improve all of the Nintendo Switch 1 games. So buy it as that, and it's amazing. Buy it as a Nintendo Switch 2 right now, and you're a physical collector. You will be very disappointed because the release policy from companies is not looking good. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Let's take another look at the system. Here we go. And see you next time. 13 minutes! God damn it. See you next time.